It is Green Thumb Thursday, where we give you the tips and tricks you need to help your garden flourish. Growing your own food does more than reduce your grocery bill. This fun and easy hobby, I use the word easy lightly, will make your relationship with fruits and veggies blossom. And according to Harvard University, there are tons of health benefits in doing so.
For example, it allows you to control when to harvest your food. Vegetables that can ripen in the garden have more nutrients than the store-bought vegetables that must be picked early. Harvard researchers say it also allows you to decide what kind of fertilizers, pesticides come in contact with your food. And above all else, it helps you eat more fruits and vegetables.
So with that in mind, Andy Cabe with Riverbanks Zoo and Garden joins us now to break down how to get your growing started. Andy, I loved when you were with us on Friends at 5. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I know we refer to you as a gardening expert. You know, I guess. Or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Andy and I go back a long ways. Good
we
to
go
see
back
you,
a ways.
buddy.
Good to see you, Darcy.
All right, what we got?
Yeah, so you guys hit on some good points. If you're growing your edible plants at home, your vegetables, I've got some herbs here too, you are more in control of what's going into your plants. Like Daniel said, when you're going to harvest them. So you're in control of all of that. You can determine what kind of soil you want to use, what kind of fertilizer, what kind of pesticides, if you want to use any. You're in control. When you're at the store, you don't necessarily know everything that's happened to your fruit or vegetable. Things have to be, like I said, picked early so they can be shipped. So you can just go out to the back patio or to the back garden, and if you need a bell pepper for dinner or a tomato, you can just go out there and pick it.
Right.
So for a lot of people who might not have tons of space or just want the convenience, containers are a great way to do.
I was wondering about that, because everybody can't dig a hole in their backyard and put veggies in it.
And especially if you're cooking, you might not want to walk out to wherever your garden is in the backyard. So if you've got like a little patio garden, kitchen garden, it's easy. So I'm going to show you one. We're going to do a simple little pot, just using herbs. Great for your kitchen garden. You can just go clip a little bit. And when you do a pot like this with herbs, you're not doing it as much for the aesthetic. You're not looking necessarily for these big, robust plants. You're trying to use these. You're going to clip them from time to time, and that's going to help them. So we're going to start with a rosemary.
I thought that smelled like rosemary.
Yeah, see?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's a wonderful smell.
So it's always important just to kind of loosen the roots on the pot. They've been grown in a pot and circling. We want those roots to go out, grow out so they can absorb some soil. So we're going to kind of stick this in the back. This is an upright rosemary. Rosemary just adds great flavor to dishes. I like to use these uprights when they get a little bit taller. I like to strip them of the leaves and use them as skewers, like just put chicken on there, use that as a skewer on the grill. Yeah. So then I thought we might take a little cilantro here.
Oh, cilantro is expensive in the store.
Yeah, but see, you can just clip a few leaves off, and when you get it at the store, you have to get that huge bunch.
Yeah.
That, in our house, most of it, you use like 3 little clippings and most of the rest of it rots in your fridge. So why not a little oregano too?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the oregano is going to kind of trail over the side. And then we're going to kind of stick this basil over here in the back too.
Okay.
So one thing, we're packing a lot of plants into a small space.
Right.
So the downside of doing it in this container is it's kind of a confined space, so you're going to have to water it more often probably than if it was in the ground. But if it's on your patio, it's going to be super convenient for you to carry. So I've got these kind of things nestled in here. No real particular rhyme or reason. I'm going to call this the back of the pot probably for the taller things. And so then I'll just come in, I'll add soil around the pot, do everything. And you could also, I've got a tomato here. I wouldn't want to combine this tomato with everything. That'd be a lot of competition. This tomato probably needs to be in a pot by itself.
Okay.
But super easy for your patio. Look at the kinds of tomatoes. There are certain ones that are bred for patios and pots that make it real easy. But as expensive as things are, especially stuff like herbs, we're saying you have to buy a bunch when sometimes you just need a little. Just go out and clip a little tips off of these in the garden. And once you clip them, it's going to spur them to start shooting out more new growth.
And we can do some of this stuff in the house, right? A little pot.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if we're doing this out in the yard, what kind of pesticides are safe? How do we keep the bugs away?
Well, when you're doing it on a small scale like this in the yard, it's really easy to look at the plant and identify, rather than just spraying necessarily. If you've got one beetle or one worm, you can just kind of pick those off a little easier. And then you can choose what you want to do if it does get infested with something and you need to use something to kill it. You can say, well, will just using soap and water work? Do I need to use another pesticide? But you are in control of, and you know, when you're in the store, you're typically looking for the perfect looking fruit or vegetable. You don't want a hole in it or a little blemish on it. But when it's in your garden, you know how it's growing, you know it, you just pick it and, you know, a little blemish isn't going to kill anything.
No, it gives it character.
Character, that's a great way to put
when
it.
I look at your blemishes, I think that he's got character.
My blemishes? Okay.
That's what I was thinking. Now, let me ask you this. So my rosemary is not going to start smelling like basil just because they're in the same pot, right?
No, I mean, you're going to have to kind of brush up against them to get the aroma, but you know, you can smell the basil now too. But you know, when you brush against this pot, it'll, you know, send off some nice smells.
Perfect.
It smells wonderful. I
It
wish
really
everyone
does.
else, especially that basil, it smells awesome.
Smells so good. Andy Cabe, it's been too long. Let's
It has
make it
been
longer.
all right. Good to see you, Darcy.